Hey folks, this is Christian Ballard here at
Let's go. Get on base. Woo!
Roll Tide!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, sports journalist here at Ballard Sports Media. This might be one of our quicker episodes. I'll drop the link in case anyone does want to come on the show, but um, which it looks like I went ahead and did that. If you want to call in, got a couple people watching already. Thank you so much. Hit that thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, leave a reaction, leave a comment, share it out. Let's keep growing the channel over on YouTube, of course, Ballard Sports Media. But we want to talk today. If we don't get any callers, then I'll just end the show abruptly after I share my conference champions, which is what we want to talk about today. I'm ready to kind of get into who I think is going to win each Power Four conference. I shared it with Uncle Lou last night, but in case you guys had missed it, um, let's just go ahead and dive into it here on the channel and on the show today. I I think some of these picks are very debatable. I think some of them are obvious. There's not very much depth in a couple different conferences. Um, I'll go ahead and get this out as a bonus before we get into the Power Four. Uh, I would say that my favorite Group of Five team this year is UNLV for the playoffs. I like Dan Mullen. I think he's a great head coach. I think the biggest thing for him was that he could not overall recruit when it came to his time at Florida. He seemed like he didn't care about recruiting. He was big on the portal um, when it started coming around and stuff, but he did not sell himself well as a recruiter. But he knows what the heck he's doing, um, in football, in offense, in coaching. I think it comes down to UNLV, Boise State, Marshall, someone like that. One of those three, I think, to make the college football playoff. Um, I think it's going to most likely come down to Boise State or UNLV again, like it did last year. And obviously, Boise State edged out UNLV for that Group of Five team in the CFP. There's quite a bit of talent coming in through the portal for Dan Mullen and UNLV. How 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 fast will it come together? Um, I would say UNLV probably the number 2 team behind Boise State in the Mountain West power rankings going into the season. I could see I've read up and heard that people have them at like 9-3. I think that's fair. I think that's probably an obvious pick. I mean, that they're just going to end up winning 9 games. I haven't looked too far into their schedule, but if they play well and play their cards right, they could no doubt be on the verge of 10 wins and getting in the playoffs as the highest rated uh, Group of Five champion, winning the Mountain West. I feel like, there's a lot of good teams out there that I like. I like teams like Marshall this year. I like Boise State, but I especially like UNLV for the playoffs. I liked them last year. They fell up short, losing in the Mountain West title to Boise State. Um, they got to return their talent. They got a new head coach who I think does know what he's doing, even though he struggled late at Florida. But Dan Mullen, he's got a good record. When he was at Mississippi State, he had a good resume. He had a good resume even at Florida, made it to an SEC title. Can he do it in the Group of Five? I think if you could do it in the SEC, you could probably do it anywhere. That's what I believe. That's what I'll roll with. So I like UNLV in 2025. That also being said, let's go up, and I don't wanna do these in a particular order other than I guess I can start out with how I have these listed on the banners, but, uh, the Power 4, my obviously excluding the Pac because, they got 2 teams for this season. Now next year we can talk about it and we can look at the Pac-12 or however many teams it's gonna be, Pac-6. How many they added 4 teams? I don't know. But when you look at the Power 4, and let's just start off with the Big Ten. I have been very high on Penn State for a while. I've wanted them to get over the hump, but now I see that they can finally do it. I think they can. I think now you could say that, well, if Ohio State didn't lose to Michigan, they wouldn't have been in the game against Oregon. That's fair. They did have some stuff fall their way last season, but regardless, they got there and competed and fell up short, but still made the playoffs. And not only did they make the playoffs last year, Penn State just went on this amazing, amazing run when you look at what they were able to come up with. And, I like James Franklin. I think he's a great fit for Penn State. I think he's shown that. He's taken them to heights that they just have not seen in quite some time. Drew Aller comes back, Singleton, Katron Allen, just all these guys coming back for Penn State. The best running back duo in the country with those guys, they combined for 2,207 yards last year and a total combined 20 touchdowns. Zakee Wheatley is at safety, had 3 interceptions last season and 57 tackles. When you look at Penn State, he's back. The challenge for them, I think, and this has kind of always been they got to get over Ohio State, whether it's at home or away. But especially having them on the road this year, along with a team like Iowa, who I'm high on, to hit their over on 7.5. Like, I think they could at least win 8 games, or probably that's at most. I don't know. There's a buy in between those games, but going on the road in consecutive games might pose a problem for Penn State. Can they handle those road games, those challenges? They do avoid teams like Michigan, but they do get teams like Oregon. Now they set that up as their whiteout game this year. I could see Penn State going 11-1 or 10-2, but it still gets them in the playoffs. But if they are better, which I think they will be, if they are what they were last year, the last half of the season, they didn't just make the playoffs, they made the playoff semifinal, right? And I know you're gonna sit there and say, "Well, they played SMU, they played Boise State." Okay, that's fair. They played group of 5 level teams. SMU, even though they are in the ACC, still a group of 5 type of team that just is gonna get adjusted to the Power 4. That's fair. I agree. Uh, but they still competed. They still won playoff games. I don't care. That's who it is. I mean, that's who Penn State is right now. They're just that team that I think could overall just really make a good run. Really make a good run this year, man. I told you, Texas and Penn State. If I had to go with the returning production, the schedule sets up nicely, and if they even make the playoffs and they get in there, my 2 favorite teams for the title this year, without picking a winner, I really don't know between the 2. I can't decide, but I like Texas and Penn State. We'll get to Texas in a second, but again, a quick show today, just going through and sharing with you who I got winning each conference. I like Penn State in the Big Ten. Let's go ahead. It's probably obvious anyway. But what about the Texas Longhorns? in the SEC. I I can't even pick Alabama. I just can't. I think Texas is that team. I think Texas is that go-to team this year in the SEC over Georgia, over Alabama, whoever they end up facing. I think they had a really good season last year. They lose their quarterback, they lose Isaiah Bond, but they bring back some key guys on offense. They return some guys on defense as well, brought some guys in through the portal. The key guy that everyone knows above all else is Arch Manning. And I'm not gonna say I don't buy the hype for Heisman. I guess I do buy it, but I also think that there's something about Texas just as a whole with what Sark's doing to I don't know, man. He just knows what he's doing and he's hungry for it. This program's hungry for it. There's a lot to love about Texas right now, and they got a sour taste in their mouth that they lost to Ohio State. But I think they also got a sour taste that they lost to Georgia twice last year. It's hard to do that. It's hard to lose to a team twice. It's hard to beat a team twice. Texas did it. They just never beat the teams they needed to beat. As good of a team as they were, they should have been in that national title, but they didn't. Not going to take it away from Ohio State. Credit to them. Credit to Ryan Day. All of that stuff. But Texas should have been in it. They really should have. Um, I I don't know, man. Texas, there's not a whole lot to say that I have to defend Texas winning the SEC other than they're just talented. They've been built for this. They've been working for this. They've known they're going to be in the SEC for a while, and in year one, they made the SEC title. They didn't win it, but even a couple years ago, they were competing and trying to win the Big 12. They end up getting to the playoffs. They lose to Washington a year that they also went on the road and beat teams like Alabama in the SEC. So uh, it's just Sark is building a juggernaut at Texas. I think he's already done that. But yes, I like Texas as a preseason championship, playoff, and ultimately SEC pick. I just think it's what's fair, it's what's accurate. There's no other words I can really say, but I like Texas there. So, again, we talk about Penn State, we talk about Clemson, Iowa State for the Big 12. Um, let's get into that a little bit. Well, first, let's talk Clemson. I got these in order here. Uh, Clemson, I like for the ACC. There's a lot to love about them. I just think they're going to be the bigger team in the ACC. There's Louisville, there's Miami, and other contenders out there. Maybe SMU gets back in it, but I think Clemson going to be the majority pick for the ACC, and I get it. Peter Woods and company on defense. There's a lot to love. There's a lot of good talent on offense. Gabe Klubnik comes in. He's one of my guys. I'd say right now my Heisman pick for uh, 2025 would be Cade Klubnik. I just think that he's really talented. I think he's in control of the offense, and I feel like he just got better as the season went along up until they met guess who? Texas in the playoffs. And, um, if he's anything like he was last year, this offense should be clicking and being the best in the ACC and probably top five, if not top three in college football. I like Penn State's offense. I like Texas's offense. I do like Ohio State. I guess maybe not top three, but Clemson's got to be in that top five somewhere offensively. They just have to. Um, overall, I just see too much talent to pass up a chance to pick them to make a good run. I don't think they get to the national championship this year. I feel like they're a year or two away. I don't even know if they're going to get to the semis, but I think it's obvious for everybody out there when I say Clemson is winning the ACC. No questions asked. That's my ACC pick. Clemson over Miami, Louisville, SMU, whoever it is. There's nobody stopping them in the ACC. It might even be against Georgia Tech. They might even face a team like that. But I don't think any of those teams I just mentioned are going to be good enough once they get to the game in Charlotte. Uh, are they going to be good enough to stop Clemson? I just don't see it. I'm not going to say they're unbeatable. They're probably going to lose a game here or there. Could they lose that week one game against LSU? Yeah. Could they lose to an ACC foe? Sure. But I don't think they lose more games to keep them out of the competition, to keep them out of the championship game. And when they get there, it's probably going to be a revenge game. I don't know their whole schedule, but I think they get Miami. What if they rematch? I mean, what are the chances Clemson loses 2 games, especially if it's to the same team like Georgia did Texas last year? I can't see it, man. So I like Clemson in the ACC. And then finally, I share the Big 12. Iowa State. Iowa State looks pretty good. I think there's a lot to love there. Love guys like Tyler Miller on the O line. He's 6'9", 335, very well built. A lot of offensive line talent there for protection for Rocco Beck. Uh, when you look at what Iowa State has coming in this year, um, Carson Hansen comes back, coming in as a junior and over 700 yards rushing last year, over 13 touchdowns. Kind of one of those fullback type of guys um, for Iowa State. Jalen Jackson. They had a lot of guys come back that just. Um, Now, granted, they lost some key guys um, like Noel and who was that other wide receiver that they lost? Let me see. Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins. I think they lost both of them. Um, yeah. So, so there's that. But I mean, they lose their 2 wide receivers, but that's about it on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, there's guys coming back. Now I will say there's a lot of freshmen at receiver, so maybe you see like Zay Robinson or Carson Robbins or whoever. Eli Green is a senior. Daniel Jackson's a senior. You got some juniors out there like Ty Claiborne, who I've heard good things about him actually. AJ Peterson's a running back. Who else we got here? Anyway, they need help at wide receiver, I think. Always been good at tight end and stuff, but I don't man, there's too much to love about Iowa State right now and what they're doing. So I would go bold here. I had talked with Uncle Lou last night how the Big 12 was pretty much up for grabs. It's like a gimme conference. There's not really a go-to favorite. Personally, I like Iowa State, but you got Arizona State in there. You got Kansas State. You got Iowa State and Texas Tech. That's 4 ranked teams right now in the top 25. BYU's gotten some attention this offseason. Even losing Jake Retzlaff, they're still being picked as one of the top teams in the conference. Utah's in there, Baylor. Um, who else? I mean, it's so wide open right now that nothing would surprise me in the Big 12. But me personally, if I had a preference for who I want to see and honestly who I think, I'm high on the Cyclones. Judge me, love it, hate it, I don't care. That's who I got. So deal with it. So again, we run through these um Penn State, Texas, Clemson, and Iowa State, each of them winning their respective conference. Um, I think that again, in the Big Ten, you could have Oregon, Ohio State. Does Michigan get in there a little bit? I don't know. I don't see much outside of Clemson to pose a threat other than maybe Miami. I love Syracuse as well. I love teams like Georgia Tech, but I don't love them enough to where obviously someone between Miami, Georgia Tech, and Syracuse, one of them is going to face Clemson. I would be shocked if Clemson doesn't make the ACC title. I would be shocked. I don't understand how anybody's gonna stop them. I'm not saying they're unbeatable or anything, I just if Clemson really is as good as we think they're gonna be this year, they're going to win the ACC, and that's final. That's just how it is, so, anyway, yeah. Texas and the SEC, that's up for grabs. You got LSU, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, whoever. Texas A&M, maybe. Um, Never sleep on Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, I guess I would say. Yeah. Penn State, I got in the Big Ten. Ohio State, Oregon, that's probably it. Maybe Indiana or Iowa make some noise as sleepers, but I don't know if they get that far. So yeah, those are my preseason conference champions. I know we don't have too much of a crowd. Just wanted to come on for a bit and share that with you. Let me know what you guys think. And I guess we'll get out of here kind of early. So I know it's a short show. We'll try to come up with some good stuff for next week as well. I'm probably going to have to change the time a little bit. Fixing to start a new job, basic 8 to 5, I think. So we'll see what all that looks like. I love y'all. Be good. And we'll see you next time here on the Christian Ballard Show.